Namo Vishnu Padaya Vishnu Bhakti Namaste Saraswati Deve Gautam Vachani Nirvisheshan Sunyavandi Paskachani. So, in this next section, we will describe, or hear Krishna describing, four kinds of people who do not surrender to him. Although nearly everyone in this world is seeking liberation from suffering, freedom from suffering, that such liberation is only attained by surrendering to Krishna. And so why are they not adopting this method? And, we will hear of four unfortunate classes of men who do not surrender to Krishna. And then Krishna will describe four kinds, four types who surrender to him, but with material desires. That the distressed, those who are curious, those who want help, and those who want to know the absolute truth, the jnani. And Krishna will say the jnani is the best, because after many births, he comes to understand Krishna is everything, and then becomes a devotee. But and at the end, in a few verses, Krishna describes less intelligent persons who worship demigods to get temporary material gain. Before we start, I want to clarify that in the previous purport, Srila Prabhupada spoke about Nitya Bala. We may be bewildered by the word Nitya, eternal. But what does it mean? Srila Prabhupada explains. It means that we cannot trace back when we became conditioned. So many lifetimes, so like it looks eternally. Therefore, that word Nitya is there. That it looks like eternal. That, but if it would be the case that we are all Nitya Bada and we can come, we cannot come out of it, then Bhagavad Gita has no sense. Bhagavad Gita, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to get out of this Nitya Bada situation. That, so now, text 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namanduskritinum Utha Papatyante Naradama Aya Paritakyan Asram Bhavam Ashvita. Those who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge has stolen by illusion, and will partake to the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So we have four categories. The first is the muda, grossly foolish. The second is naradama, the lowest among mankind. And the maya paritahyan, knowledge stolen by illusion. Ashuram, the Asuras, these are atheistic people with the nature of demons. So these are the four classes that it's a long purport describing these four classes that so why don't these less intelligent people don't take up this simple method of surrendering to Krishna? That's because what Srila Prabhupada quotes the 12 Mahajans and others in the second paragraph of the purport. It quotes all these Mahajans and says, these are the learned persons. They really learned persons. They know the signs of Krishna consciousness. So those who are, it's in the third paragraph. The atheistic plan makers are described here by the word Dusketina or miscreants. So you have this word Dusketina, four kinds of atheistic plan makers. The fourth line of the third paragraph. But because the atheist brain is improperly utilized in opposing the plan of the Lord, the atheistic plan maker is called Dusketi, which indicates that his intelligence and efforts are misdirected. So they are opposing the plan of the Lord. What's the plan of the Lord? We heard before. Yadai dharmasya glani bhavta bhavya kulabhyutanam adharmasya tatatmam chamna. Wherever and whenever this decline is conscious, I appear to re-establish the principles of religion or Krishna consciousness. He wants everyone to form Krishna consciousness and go back to God. Surrender. Teach them how to surrender. What are these principles of religion? Manmana bhavma bhakto majri manchkam. Mama basis satyante patucharis. How is he named? Sarvada Mankashamam Kamcham Kasham Kamsarapatiyam Shishanam 1865-66. These are the principles that so first there are the mudas. You find that in the purport, the Prabhupada gives it a number 1, 2, 3, 4. That one after another, he discusses these 4 kinds of dusketinas. First, the mudas. Mudas, hard-working beasts of burden that remember, Jayapataka Maharaj was in America. Here I gave a lecture, and then a man came to him and said, we don't need God. My philosophy is hard working, and then you get what you want. Hard working. the like hard-working beast of burden. Yeah. Muda is an ass. Ass is carrying a big burden on his back. You see that sometimes in India, an ass, and then the burden is so big you don't see the ass. And he's carrying the burden just for a little grass, but he doesn't know my master is going to give me a little grass, but grass is it's available everywhere. Yeah. They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor by themselves and do not want to part with them for the supreme. So the typical example of the beast of burden is the ass. At the end of this section, sends enjoyable tidings of the flickering mundane world. That's their interest. They are all absorbed in that, and they have very little time to hear about the eternal forces that move the material world. No knowledge. So that's the first part, the Muda. You just must, for your test, you must remember Muda is hard working ass. That's it. You will remember the ass. Exactly. Narada. Narada means lowest of mankind. That's point two in the purple. Another class of duskati, of miscreant, is called the Narada, or the lowest of mankind. And that a little further in the purple, their characteristics. They are socially and politically developed. Socially and politically developed. But they have no religious principles, but socially and politically developed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a little further in the next paragraph, at the end, writes, however, no process is strictly followed now in any part of the world. Therefore, 99.9% of the population is Narada. That's a lot. 99.9%. When the whole population becomes Narada, naturally all their so-called education is made null and void by the all-powerful energy of physical nature. According to the standard of the Gita, a learned man is he who sees on equal terms the learned Brahman, the dog, the cow, the elephant, and the dog eater. This is the vision of a true devotee. Nityananda Prabhu, who is incarnation of Godhead, as divine master, delivered the typical Naradams, the brothers Jagai and Madai, and showed how the mercy of a real devotee is bestowed upon the lowest of mankind. So the typical example we have here, Jagai and Madai. Everyone is Jagai and Madai. But the Naradam was condemned by the personality of Godhead. But he can revive his spiritual consciousness only by the mercy of a devotee. So Krishna condemns them, but the devotee can rescue. That's interesting. Naradams, or the lowest of mankind, willfully neglect the prime duty of the human being. So, what should we remember about the Naradam? The lowest of mankind. They are socially and politically developed, but they don't follow religious principles. They don't follow religious principles. But many times they go to church to the mosque of the show, but their purpose is selfish. So socially and politically developed, no religious principles, and ignorance about the purpose of human life. They cannot understand their relationship with Krishna. These four things of the Narayan: socially and politically developed, not following religious principles, not understanding the purpose of the human form of life. Now the third kind of duskritina is the most dangerous one. We will learn about the third one in Sri Isopanishad, that because they present avidya, ignorance, as vidya, knowledge, and that's very dangerous. In Sri Isopanishad, they are described as a serpent with a jewel on the head. They are the most dangerous. So what does Srila Prabhupada say about them? First, he explains about Maya Parita Kyam. Maya Parita Kyam says is those whose knowledge has been nullified by the influence of the illusory energy. By the influence of the illusory energy. So, what is the characteristic of the Maya Pratyekyan? So, their knowledge is stolen by illusion, that we know, that's the meaning. Why? Because they write up the personality of Godhead. You see, the scientists of the day, they will only speak about what's perceivable by their senses and can be understood with their intellect. And all what's beyond that, what they cannot understand, they don't accept. They reject. Certainly, they will not put God in the center. But God is out of the picture for the mind. And we see our secular society is going in that direction. Everywhere religion out the secular state. That's becoming more and more rampant. They do not know that the blessed form of human life is designed after the eternal and transcendental features of the Supreme Lord. All the unauthorized interpretation of the Gitas by the class of Maya Pratyekyan outside the purview of the Parampara system are so many stumbling blocks on the path of spiritual understanding. The deluded interpreters do not surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, nor do they teach others to follow this principle. So yes, is the Maya Paritagyan. This, not all of them, but most so-called scientists are Maya. It are persons like scientists, philosophers, and scholars whose superior intelligence is nullified by the illusion energy. So they are most dangerous. When Srila Prabhupada spoke to John Lennon, Yoko Ono, and George Harrison at Teton Post in England, John Lennon asked, "But why another version of Bhagavad Gita?" And Prabhupada said, "I'm presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is, as Krishna intended it. But all the other versions are interpretation, personal interpretation, the human interpretations. And they are all obstacles for us. It's dangerous to read these things. In the beginning, Srila Prabhupada was in New York, 26 Second Avenue, and Ramananda Prabhu told us, we didn't have a Bhagavad Gita at that time. So they had the Bhagavad Gita of Dr. Radha Krishna. And so Prabhupada said you can read the verses, not the purport. So they used that to read the verses. Like in the purport of 1865, 66, Dr. Radha Krishna writes in the purport, it's not to Krishna to whom one has to remember, to surrender. You don't have to surrender to Krishna, but you should surrender to the impersonal Brahman within Krishna. That's what they were saying. That's the Mayavadi idea. This is Maya Paritagyan, very dangerous if you become influenced by this impersonalist presentations. It's very difficult to make progress on the path of devotional service. Yeah. This we heard in Prabhupada Sutta, the fifth chapter 5. Sanyastu mao dukam aptam ayogatam. But yes, Srila Prabhupada speaks about an impersonalist there in the purport. But in many places, also in Chaitanya Tamrita, is speaking about that. One is influenced by them, then it's very difficult to accept Krishna as a supreme person. That I gave a lecture on Bhagavad Gita in Estonia, Tallinn, 25 years ago. And a lady was listening, and I was speaking about having a relationship with Krishna in the heart. And she came to me and said, I cannot accept God as a person. I told her, you are a person, and you cannot allow God to be a person. You are limiting God. She started to cry. So difficult to give up. But I gave also once a lecture to Buddhists. that, and they are also influenced by these philosophies of impersonality. Of course, before starting the lecture, I'm praying. Namo Vishnu Krishna Krishnate Bhakti Deland Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nirvishesha Sunyavani Sandha. Those who make all Shiva, the Buddhist. So I pray to Prabhupada to help in the fight against the Buddhists. That's what this mantra means. And then you speak again to Buddhists. That's difficult. They have a so-called philosophy for going inside and whatever. But no God of mine. That making everything easy. But of course, there are about 10,000 sects of Buddhism, and they are not all the same. Yes.
All these Mayavadi, these even Jain.
Yeah. Yeah. Supreme Brahman. Brahmavad is different. We have to understand the difference between Mayavad and Brahmavad. Look at it for Swami, he was a Brahmavad. Speaks about Brahmavadi, to explain it. What is a Brahmavadi? He explains that in about 3 things in that count. Yes, the sages were confused. Who is supreme? Is it Lord Vishnu? Is it Lord Brahma? Is it Lord Shiva? And they asked Priya Muni to find out. So he got to his search job. Of course, we know he approached Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva wanted to embrace him, and he said, "No, I don't want you. I don't want you to touch me. You are living in a crematorium. It's not nice." And he became angry. He was going to kill him, but Parvati was pleading, "No, it's your brother." So he understood that cannot be supreme. And Griga Muni is the son of Brahma. He went to Brahma and went to him straight without offering obeisances. And Brahma became angry. So he's losing also his temper, that cannot be God. And then he went to Vishnu, and he came to Lord Vishnu, and Svetadvip and Lakshmi was there. And he put his feet on the breast of Krishna. And immediately Krishna said, "Oh, I hope you didn't hurt your feet. My breast is so hard." So he could understand. He could understand that he is the supreme. But there's a confusion about who is supreme. So the Brahmavadi is not sure who is supreme. Is it Lord Vishnu? Is it Lord Brahma? Is it Lord Shiva? Is it the Supreme Brahman? Is it Brahman what is supreme? They are not sure. But they are not saying, we will hear in the 9th chapter, the Krishna says that the Mudas, they don't know me, who am supreme, and that they think I'm in person. So they deride my human form. They think I'm a manifestation of the illusory energy. So that's the Mayavadi. It thinks Krishna is a manifestation of Brahman in the material energy. And the right is transcendental position. But the Brahmavati does not do that. They accept Krishna as transcendental. They don't write him. They are just not sure what is supreme. That is Brahmavati. So they are innocent. But the impersonalist is he thinks, yes, Krishna is a manifestation of the illusion. Therefore, Krishna, Srila makes a purport in 212, I think, not Vevam Chaturasham, not from name, it's not so I am not up. You have shown all these kings and not exist in the past, exist now, and exist in the future. So, and there's Krishna, it's explained in the purport. This proves Krishna and we are individuals. We are existing eternal. That and the Mayavadis, they think that no, this life here, this consciousness that we are, that individual consciousness is illusion. So we merge again with Brahman, and then this illusory consciousness is over. We become one with the cosmic or the all-pervading consciousness. Anyway, it's worth circulating. That makes sense. But these are Maya Prityakyams. Very dangerous. So Prabhupada said, if you see someone with horizontal tilak, they are the Mayavadis, you have to jump in the Ganga with your clothes and everything to purify yourself, just seeing them. So what about reading and studying their philosophy? You become attached to this philosophy and took us up to Mayogata. Difficult. So this is the Maya Prityakyams. The superior intelligence is nullified by the illusory energy. And then the fourth kind is the asuras, the demons. That's point 4. The last class of Duskirtana is called Asuram Bhavam Asvita, or those of demonic principles. This class is openly atheistic. And today you find that people who are openly atheistic and they come together and anyway, but they say God cannot come into this material world. And if he comes, the Asura says, he is subordinate to the impersonal Brahman. So we have Radha Krishna's commentary. Is non-atheistic. So they also declare themselves or others to be God. You are God, I'm a God, I am God, everything is all right. These are the Asuras, Krishna says. At the end of the purport, therefore grossly foolish persons, the lowest among mankind, and the looted speculators, and the professed atheist, as above mentioned, never surrender unto the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, in spite of all scriptural and authoritative advice. Now we have some quotes here. Who wants to read the quote of the Narada? Yeah.
Narada, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Having become civilized human beings by practicing devotional service for some time, they later decide that devotional practices are impractical for achieving their aim in life, thus whimsically discard devotional service. The symptom of their being a Dhamma, or the most fallen, is their intentional rejection of devotional service.
Yes. And about the Asura, who wants to speak about Asura?
Krishna says, in the same manner as the Asuras try to shoot arrows at my personal form, the source of all bliss, the Mayavadis attack my personal form, which is proven in Shruti to be the eternal embodiment of living spirit. The Mayavadis just thus try to destroy my personal form with their arguments.
Hare Krishna. So these are the four impious or four unfortunate people who never surrender to Krishna. Now Krishna mentions 4 times who surrender unto him. Chaturvida bhajante manchana sukritinarina achto chikhnasu achtasti Yanisa Bharatakshava. Or best among the Bharats, among the Bharatas. 4 kinds of pious people begin to render devotion service unto me. They distress the desire of wealth, inquisitive, and evil searching for the absolute truth. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the middle of the purport, these are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange of devotion service. So they should come to pure devotion service, which is Anya Bilasa Sunyam Gyanakamatanapita, Ankulina Krishna Nusilanam Bhakti. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord, Krishna, favorably, and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. This is called pure devotion service. So they surrender to Krishna, and if they follow the process properly, they will become purified from these desires. So there are 3, that 4, there are 4 types. So what's important here? They are one quote. So first, to remember about is Sukritinas, pious men, but they obey to the rules and regulations of the scripture. That's first characteristic. And they are more or less devoted to the Lord. But still they want something in exchange for devotional service. But by association of pure devotees, they can also become pure devotees. If they miss that association, that may be a big problem. This association is important. That it's like Prabhupada mentioned that the Scott brothers, a German disciple of Bhakti, said that yes, after the Second World War, so many, because during the war, many wives were praying to the Supreme Lord, please protect my husband, don't let him die. But then, after the war was over, so many of their husbands died anyway. And they completely rejected religion. They became atheists after that. So it's not just that you approach Krishna with material desires. You must have the guidance of a pure devotee to understand. Otherwise, you cannot understand the situation, what's happening. We get reactions according to our past misdeeds. And yes, they're praying for temporary benefits. That's okay. The pure devotees do not pray for that. They pray to Krishna, please purify me that so that I can please you. I want to please you, nothing in return. And that is a point where Krishna takes over and takes care of you. But, like when Draupadi they tried to disrobe her, and she was praying to Krishna, oh Govinda, help me. And she was holding her sari. But then at a certain moment she understood this I have no chance against these strong warriors. And she lifted her both hands in the air and chanted, Govinda! And then Krishna started to apply unlimited sari. So later, Draupadi asked Krishna, when I was in trouble, why didn't you come immediately? Well, Krishna was saying, you were holding out your sari, I was thinking you were going to do it yourself. But then when you lifted your hand, that's the point. Pure devotional service. But most of us, at least, I came to this movement to one of these four. I was certainly in the distressed category. Mostly we come to the one of these four. So in the beginning we come to Krishna consciousness, we are impure. But it's Sukadeva Goswami in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Sukadeva says, Akam Savakam Mokshakam Buddhatim Tevina Bhakti Yoginam Saita Pusham. Don't worry if you are impure, or even if you are pure or you want liberation. With great force, perform Bhakti Yoga, and you will attain supreme. So they are all very dear to Krishna because they approach him. And the Ashta, the distress, the example is Kalchandra. He had a crocodile on his leg, a big problem. But it took a while. You fight over a few thousands of years. And he surrendered complete in his mind to the Supreme Personality of God. And he came personally to solve the problem. And then the Ashtati, of course, is Ashtati is Dhruva Maharaj, founding Lord. He wanted the kingdom greater than his grandfathers. Than his great-grandfather, Brahma. He wanted Brahma is the whole universe, but he wanted something more. There's quite a big material design that but he associated with Narada Muni. And the Jignasu, the inquisitive, that Saunaka Rishi and the sages of Namasaran, they were performing these sacrifices. But these sacrifices, they work in Treta Yuga, but not in Kali Yuga. Because there are no qualified Brahmins, and the only effect was their bodies became black from the smoke. And then the started to inquire from Sukadev Goswami that, well, from Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami who heard from who heard about it from Sukadev Goswami when he spoke to Maharaj Pariksit. He repeated it to the sage. That, so that were the inquisitive. And the fourth kind is the jnani. Is the one who wants to know the absolute truth. And the examples are the four Kumaras, and Sukadev Goswami was also one of them. Wanted to know the absolute truth. And Krishna will glorify in the next verses the jnani of the highest. Good. 17. Tesam jnana nityakta eka bhaktir vasishyate priyoi channo jaktam hamsa samamapya. Of these, the one with in full knowledge and who always is engaged in the voice and service is the best, who I am very dear to him and is very dear to me. So he's most dear. But we have a quote here on 16. Can someone read this quote? He is spies. 16. 16. Yeah, it's that he is spies.
Spies is and at the same time foolish because he does not know that God is with me, dwelling within my heart. The soul and the super soul, both of them sitting together. God knows everything about me, so I do not need to pray to God to get out of this stress. He knows everything. When you pray, ask for surrender to God. Pray to glorify God and know His greatness, but do not pray for selfish interest. For example, your devotee does not pray to God for any personal interest. Even if he is distressed, he says, "Oh Lord, it is your time. You have put me in distress just to rectify me. I should have many more trials, but you are giving me grace. That is your great mercy." That is his vision. Because he is not disturbed. A person who is in Krishna consciousness doesn't care for all this material stress himself or on because he is aloof from it all. He knows very well that this designation, this honor of this insult pertains to my body, but I am not this body. Because he believes in the immortality of Socrates was condemned, and he was asked to take 10 vows. That asked Socrates, how do you want to be put into the grave? He replied, first of all, you catch me, then you put me into the grave. One who is completely conversant with Krishna and knows very well, I am not body, I am part and parcel of Krishna. My eternal
Main point Srila Prabhupada is making here is how to pray. One should not pray for self-interest. There is a verse that Prahlad Maharaj is speaking in the 5th canto, where is in Hari Varsha. part of Jambudvip, is right now still there, worshipping in Haribasa, the deity of Lord Singali. And every day he has 2 prayers. And in one prayer, the first prayer says, Namaste Narsimhaya. Namaste Asya Deva Vachna Vachanam Kamasandaya Andaya Damogasa Abhayam Apani Krishna Namaste Narsim. Namaste Asya Deva Vachna Vachanam Kamasandaya Andaya Damogasa Abhayam Apani Krishna. Followed Nishingadev says, you have this very sharp nails, which are like sigils. With these sharp nails, you go into my heart and you take away all the dirt so that I become purified. So that everything, what is an obstacle between you and me, can be removed. And the purpose of that verse, Srila writes, devotees should pray like this. They should have the courage to pray like this. Because Krishna takes all attachments away, but remain at once. So that is, but the 4 kinds of material desire, the 4 kinds of wise people who are approaching here, have not yet a sense of pure devotion, but that will come when they perform the practice. Can someone read 17?
Without being elevated position of a jnani, one cannot seek devotional service. A jnani has realized that he is the spirit form and that Krishna is the supreme spirit. Therefore, he makes his relationship with Krishna and not with the world.
So we must be jnani in the sense that without knowledge of Krishna and our position, our relationship with Krishna, we cannot perform the devotional service properly. We must be situated in that knowledge. Not just chanting Hare Krishna. If you chant Hare Krishna and you think that the absolute truth is impersonal, that's offensive chanting. You must be, so it's not that everyone chants Hare Krishna. Impersonalists sometimes also chant Hare Krishna, but there's no effect. No effect because they are so fancy, thinking that they chant Hare Krishna to become Krishna. That's
So I see so many varieties in my village also, whenever we go to the side. But the name of the Lord Krishna, or any name, so they don't clean.
no, that I explained a few days ago. I think maybe that was an analogy I spoke about that just explained in Haina Sintamani by Bhakti. The holy name has all potencies, like the sun. It has all potencies. But for the moment, we don't see the sun here. You can see it outside, there are clouds. So we don't see the full potency of the sun because there are clouds between us and the sun. The clouds are not covering the sun. It's not possible. The clouds are covering our vision. So these clouds are anahtas. Therefore, we chant the holy name and we get only, if we chant properly, then we get the reflection like now. And that's called namavas. And it's purifying the heart. But if we have offenses, then the holy name of the Lord will not manifest for us. Because we have wrong intentions. That if wrong intentions, not going to happen. If we think that we are going to come God and we chant the holy name, we are completely covered and we cannot get access even to the dim reflection of the sun.
What about the importance, four Kumaras were also?
They were embodiment for Kumaras of four processes of liberation. Sankhya, yoga, renunciation, and tapasya. These are the four processes of liberation, leading to liberation. So they acknowledge how to get to liberation, but not beyond. And that they had to learn from their father, who instructed them in Bhakti Yoga. And then they became great devotees, and they became the head of the Brahma Kumari Sampradaya. That is a bona fide temple. Yes, for Kumaris. That they were not offensive. They just didn't have the knowledge beyond that. Yes, good. A bona fide Sampradaya. Yeah, there are four bona fide Sampradayas. Rudra Sampradaya, it comes to from Krishna to Shiva. Then the Kumari Sampradaya, which comes to the four Kumaris. And then we have the Lakshmi or Sikh Sampradaya, Ramanujacarya. That's also bona fide Sampradaya. And the fourth Sampradaya is Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. That's our Sampradaya. Yeah, the four. Yeah, but they have different goals. Like the Sikh Sampradaya, their goal is Vaikuntha. They are worshipping Lakshmi Narayan in awe and reverence. That the line of the Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya, their destination is called Vrindavan, and it's predominantly in the mood of Madhurya Rasa. About the Kumara and the Shiva Sampradaya, I don't know their mood. But of course, if we can understand the Kumari Sampradaya is focusing first on liberation. But that is for Kumari. And Shiva Sampradaya, Shiva has two kinds of disciples. There's disciples in the mode of ignorance, ghosts, oblogams, and so. And he's very merciful to them, but he doesn't instruct them in spiritual life, because they are in ignorance. But whatever they desire, they please him, he gives them. Ashutosh, easily pleased. But not with his other disciples. He has other disciples, great sages, who come to see him in Kailash, and he instructs them in the science of Bhakti, devotion service. That this is another answer. But anyway, my knowledge is limited about these two last. Obviously, Sampradaya, I've studied the Sampradaya more or less.
Very different Brahma Kumari is another step. That is what
I'm saying Sampradaya is meant here comes from Krishna to the four Kumaras and comes down. If these so-called Brahma Kumaras are not connected to this Sampradaya, they are not connected. Okay, good. But that's 17. 18, yeah. So Krishna has said they are very dear to me. Yeah. Udara Saveviti Jnanatatmeta Mema Tamastita Sayuktatma Mam Evanutanam Katim. All these devotees are undoubtedly Mahnamic souls, but he who is situated in non-suffering, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in transcendental service is due to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal. Yeah. Yeah. In the purport, second line, the Lord says that all are magnanimous, because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called the Mahatma, or great soul. And then in the middle, such a devotee cannot live a second without contacting or serving the Lord. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is very fond of his devotees and cannot be separated from him. And that's said in Bhagavad, in the Bhagavatam. Lord Narayan, I think, to whom is he speaking? He was playing all over the universe. He had offended Ambarishma. What is his name? Yeah. Anyway. Sadvaidayamam sadnamrityam tvam matanyotin janti mamtapyo manakapi. Pure devotees in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch, and therefore they are very much dear to me. What was the name of the sage who blessed Srimati Radharani that everything was secret? She will cook, will nectar, will taste of Durvasa Muni. So it was Durvasa Muni who offended Ambarish Maharaj. It's a whole story, but he created a demon who was supposed to kill Ambarish Maharaj, but then Ambarish was completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord. But then when this demon appeared, the Lord Chakra appeared and cut off the head of this demon and started to chase after Durvasa Muni. And Durvasa Muni was fleeing all over the universe. And was trying to take shelter of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva said, I cannot help you. You have offended the Lord devotee. And Brahma then went to Brahma, the same thing. He finally went to Lord Narayan. And Lord Narayan spoke him this verse. You have to understand how dear devotees are to me, he said. That. And he spoke this verse that which is mentioned here in the purport. Sadvaidhyamam sadnamridyam tam matanyatinam chantinam timyam nagapi. That the devotees are always in my heart, and I'm always in the heart of the devotees. The devotee does not know anything beyond me, and I also cannot forget the devotee. So that's the relationship between the devotee always think of Krishna, and Krishna thinks always of him. That's a relation of deep love. And if you offend such a devotee, then Krishna will not be pleased. That because of course such devotees Bhavanam Hyanamante Hyanamam Papachate Vasdev Swamiti Samahatmas Dulaba. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrendered unto me knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is such a great soul is very rare. So, by the mercy of the Lord, then they start to understand the cause of everything is Krishna. And they start to act in a relationship with Krishna in devotion service. They become devotees. So this is the best. That, of course, some may come to the impersonal path. They are not Mayavadis, but Brahmavadis, and they progress towards Paramatma and Bhagavan realization. And then they become devotees. Anyway, this is verse 18, and there are two quotes from 18. Someone wants to read. Krishna says,
If one engages in my transcendental loving service, but at the same time wants of himself to take his son, he is very. Since I am very intelligent, why should I take this superior prosperity? Instead, I shall induce you to take the next step of better of my and keep you
thank you, and someone can read the next one. Yeah.
Krishna accepts the Jnani and his books. The Lord considers spiritual the greater business. My dear Buddha, neither Lord Brahma, nor Shiva, nor Shankarashan, the gods of fortune, or indeed my own self, are dear to me with you.
That's true that because the demigods themselves, they are Sakam Bhaktas. And they want something in exchange for their devotional service. They want to be in control. So they are not pure devotees. So we have heard here, verse 16 speaks about these four kinds: Artha, Artarthi, Jignasi, Jnana, distress, the wealth seeker, inquisitive, and one who desires the absolute truth. Then that in 17, then Krishna says, yes, but of these four, the one who seeks the absolute truth is the best, because he has no ulterior motive. And then the next verse it says, but all of them, also the Sakam devotees, Sakam means they want to fulfill material desires. They are very dear to me. They are all Mahatmas, because they will become purified. But after many births, the Jnani, he comes to understand Vasudeva's Sarvamiti. And then he comes to devotional service. That they realize there are activities in spiritual life, and they engage in Krishna service. And now, in the last 4 verses of this section, to 23, Krishna speaks about the less intelligence. I will read all the verses. Kamastarta itakyam pavatyantin devatam tam niyatamastaya prakrita nitaskam. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires certainly into demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their nature. Yo yum yam yam tanum bhakta shadayashtimitsati tasyatsanam shadam tameva vidadamyam. I mean, in everyone's heart or the super soul, as soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady, so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Sadaya Shadrayukta Stasyaranamyate Laptisata Kamamaeva Vitamitam. And out with such faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. And the last one, Antapattu Phalamte Samtatpapauti Alpamidasam Deva Devacho Yanti Bhakti Antimamapi. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the plans of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. So yes, here we have these 4 verses that the Krishna says there are these demigod worshippers. They are less intelligent. They have lost their spiritual sense of worship. That they are worshipping demigods for quick fulfillment of material desires, quick in this lifetime. But Krishna says it's all for nothing. These demigods, they worship these demigods, that what they get from these demigods, it's perishable, it's temporary, because these demigods themselves are not immortal, they are also temporary. And their planets, their worshippers, it will all vanquish. However, the devotees of Krishna are different. Krishna says, those who worship me come to me. They attain eternal blissful life in the spiritual world by Krishna's unlimited mercy. So this is Krishna in these 4 verses that it's good to remember what exactly he's saying, that so they are less intelligent. Why? They have material desires. And if someone has faith in this demigod, I will make the faith in the heart of that person who wants to worship the demigod more steady. So Krishna is the cheater of the cheaters. That if you want to be cheated, Krishna will help you and give you more faith. And then, when they have that faith, then they will gain the result that they desire. But the result that they get for the demigods, I'm also in the heart of the demigod, and I aspire them to give this result. So I give this result. But the result is coming for me fine. So they are small intelligence that outcome me that some. That because what they get, it's temporary. It's you enjoy for some time, quickly finish. And then the same problem as before. But my devotees, they get knowledge. They get eternal benefit, spiritual world. So Krishna is different. If someone wants to be a devotee of Krishna, he wants to surrender, but he's too weak to surrender. Krishna will not fulfill his material desires. When you give up the material desire, then Krishna fulfills the material desire. Many times it's like that. But he will not give something to his devotees which is not good for them. Okay, we will read. Thank you. this 24, that's for later, no? 20, 22. Due to karma, lusty desires, intelligence is lost. Bhagavad Gita 2:63-63, so now karma, lust leads to loss of intelligence. That we have studied in the second chapter. So how demigods relate to devotees? Devotees for stones are decorated always with the prayer of the Lord Krishna are worshipable by the demigods. Okay. They know. Thank you. Let's reserve. Have a few minutes for questions. Otherwise, we will pause from till 12:30. Yes.
I'm just curious, we talked a little bit about how, the demigods are versions of soul that have sort of attained that position through their highest work. What about demons?
About demons. Yeah. And what do you want to?
I mean, because I know sometimes, because Krishna wants to enjoy that pastime with them, the devotee will take birth out of demons, but he thinks they'll have like that particular loss. But is that the case for all demons, or how do they attain that?
Well, the problem is, yes, like Shine Vijay, they came to this material world to serve Krishna because they know the Supreme Lord must have also the tendency to fight, but they cannot be a fight in the spiritual world. So they were happy to come to the spirit, to the material world. It was also Krishna's arrangement, because indeed he has this tendency to have a good fight. But all these demons in the material world are so weak. He cannot fight with them, they are too weak. Therefore, a devotee must take that role. And then they come to the material world to fight with it. But Krishna wants them to play their role very seriously. Therefore, by spiritual energy, he arranges that their intelligence is covered to the extent that they can, so that they become absorbed in this asura path. And then they are good fighters against Krishna. But these are special occasions but it's Krishna's arrangement. Because it's Krishna's arrangement, because they wanted to serve the Lord in that way. Yes.
Hey Krishna, maybe mentioned that there's 400,000 from Hindu species. My question is, with Hanuman or Jambawan, are they also one of the Hindu species?
Yeah. The human species, the 400,000, includes also the demigod species. That's all. Thank you very much. Yeah, okay, we will pause for 10 minutes. Okay, 12:30 we convene. Hare Krishna. You. Screen is blocked. Anyway. And we vote. So we continue with the next section. So Krishna is described. It doesn't work. It's blocked. So nothing I can do. I cannot moving and anything. Only shut off my computer when then it's finished. So Krishna is described demigod worshippers, and now he will discuss those who are in a worse category, the impersonalist. And they want to surrender to the impersonal aspect of Krishna. So Krishna, because of their offensive mentality, it covers their vision. And then Krishna will speak about pious persons who are coming free from the dualities of hate and desire that was followed Krishna's instruction, matras first kantya sutasna sukadagadaka and paina nityas tamstikshis vabharata. First learn to tolerate the dualities of material life, and that they engage in devotional service. They come to devotional service, engage in devotional service with determination, and they will attain liberation, you will say. Because they have knowledge of Krishna. They have knowledge of Krishna as Adi Buddha, Adi Deva, Adi Jahya. We will discuss these points. So, in other words, the 7th chapter explains us how one can become a Krishna conscious person. In the beginning, one takes to the association of devotees, and that leads one to one's knowledge of one's constitutional position as a servant of Krishna. And by engaging in devotional service, one gains determined faith, Trita Vrata, and he becomes convinced simply by performing the devotional service, all these objectives will be fulfilled. So that is the rest of the chapter. Now we have text 24. Avyaktam Bhaktinapana Manyate Mama Buddhaya Brahmavachantam Mamavyayam Antam. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. But Krishna clearly condemns the impersonalists here. That, of course, in the impersonalist Bhagavad Gita with word jugglery, they will give it another meaning. But if you know a little Sanskrit, you know this is the direct meaning. That abudaya is no intelligence, and that avyaktim vyaktam atama apanam I was non-manifested before. And parambhavama janato, they don't know that I'm the Supreme Lord. Very clearly. That in the purport. So before, the demigods have been described as less intelligence, and now the impersonalists are described as less intelligence. So further, Srila Prabhupada in the 2nd paragraph quotes the Brahma Samhita. it is stated that the personality of Godhead cannot be understood simply by the study of Vedanta literature. Therefore, Vedanta contains aphorism, very cryptic knowledge, and requires a commentary. The commentary, the natural commentary is Srimad Bhagavatam, that Srila Prabhupada quotes that Brahma Samhita, there is a verse who says you cannot be known by just study of the Vedas. That it's only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that the personality of Godhead can be known. So they are described here as Abhudaya, that and further, Srila Prabhupada, he always mentioned that on many occasions that Sankaracharya said, beyond material manifestation, there's Govinda, Supreme Person. That he quotes that many times. Of course, the impersonalists, they don't believe that. But it seemed to be there because Sankaracharya was a manifestation of Lord Shiva. And he had to bring back this Buddhist into the fold of the Vedas. Because the Buddhists rejected the Vedas. But by Sankaracharya, they accepted the Vedas, but not yet the Supreme Personality of God. They were not ready for that. So he presented it in an impersonal way, so that they would accept the Vedas. But, yeah. So non-devotee impersonalists think that Krishna is a body made of this material nature, and that all his activities, form, and everything are Maya. These impersonalists are known as Mayavadis. They do not know the absolute truth. And then at the end of the second last paragraph, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has his own planet, and the demigods have theirs. So therefore, the monistic contention that the ultimate truth is formless and that form is imposed does not hold true. Lord Krishna is a little further. Lord Krishna is Sat Chit Anand, eternal bliss and knowledge. And so the Vedic literature confirms this. That at the end, the imposition theory of the personalist monist is false, as far as the statement of the Gita are concerned. It is clear in that the Supreme Absolute Truth, Lord Krishna, has both form and personality. So this is quite a verse with mainly three important points. First, what Krishna says in personalists, there's no intelligence. They consider Krishna's personality inferior to Brahman. That they say that the absolute truth is finally formless, and that we cannot. In saying that the absolute as a form is a false imposition on the formless, they say that. So they consider Krishna is just a powerful entity when it came to this earth. But clearly that Krishna stated before that he has his own planet in the spiritual world, and demigods have their planets. So the demigods and Krishna, they are both personal. They are not impersonal. Second, the Mayavadis say that Krishna is a body made of material nature, and all his activities are Maya. So if that's the case, Krishna is Maya, Arjuna is Maya, so what is the use of one instructing another? What's then the value of Bhagavad Gita? But they base their teachings on Bhagavad Gita. Doesn't make sense. And then the third thing, no one can understand Krishna without rendering devotional service and developing Krishna consciousness. It's not possible. So they don't do that. So they cannot understand Krishna. So for them, for these less intelligent persons, what does Krishna say in the next verse? Nam prakasa sarvasya yoga maya samavita mudijam navujanti lokyam ajam apyam. I've never manifested the foolish and unintelligence. For them I covered by my internal energy, and therefore they do not know me when I'm born and infallible. So Krishna, we will see that in She is Upanishad. She is Upanishad is a story of a seeker who searched for the absolute truth. And there at the end, it is said that is praying to the Supreme Lord. Please take away your effulgence so that I can see you. So Krishna is covered by two kinds of coverings. First, for us, conditioned soul is covered by the illusory energy. The second covering is, even if you get liberation, still Krishna is covered by the Brahma Jyoti effulgence. And that's very effulgent. So one can attain liberation and not know Krishna, that effulgence of the Brahma Jyoti is there. So it requires devotional service to understand that Krishna is unborn, infallible, that is a reservoir of all pleasures, but Krishna reveals himself only to his devotees. For this impersonalist, he is covered by his Brahma Jyoti. They can never see him and understand him. So I will read the first paragraph of text 25, purport. But maybe some of you can read the first paragraph up from the beginning till he was covered by his internal potency. The first part. Yeah. It may be argued.
It may be argued that since Krishna was present on the earth and was visible to everyone, then why isn't he manifested now? But actually, he was not manifested to everyone. And Krishna was present, there were only a few people who could understand him, the Supreme Personality of God. In the assembly of Guru, when Shishupal spoke against Krishna's being the president of the assembly, Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be the Supreme God. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was Supreme, but not everyone. He was not revealed to the non-devotees and the common man. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that but for his pure devotees, all men consider him to be like themselves. He was manifest only to his devotees as the reservoir of all this. But to others, unintelligent or devotees, he was called by internal potency.
Thank you. And in the next part of the purport, Lord Krishna speaks about this mantra 15 for She's Upanishad, where I spoke about that. So then text 26. 26. Vedam sumatitani vastamani sharina bhavishan sabhutani Mount Vedana Krishna, Lord Arjuna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past is happening in the present, and all that is yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. So Krishna is Trikalakya. He knows past, present, and future. Also, his pure devotees are Trikalakya, like Narada Muni, can also past, present, and future. Because once, after the last demon was killed, son by Kamsa, Narada Muni went to see Krishna in a place where no one else would see. And yes, he would tell him, I want to see, and it speaks about future pastimes of Krishna Bodhestra. I want to see them, please, that go to Mathura and kill Kamsa so that we make progress. I'm eager to see it. That is interesting. That brings up other questions, but we'll see later. But that proves his transcendental nature. If Krishna were Maya, illusion, as the impersonalists claim, Krishna would change his body and forget everything about his past life. But he's Trikalakya. He's on the transcendental platform. So this is explained in the second paragraph of verse 26. That is in the middle. Certainly, the transcendental body of Sri Krishna is not perishable. He's like the sun, and Maya is like a cloud. In the material world, we can see that there is a sun and that there are clouds and different stars and planets. The clouds may cover all this in the sky temporarily, but this covering is only apparent to our limited vision. The sun, moon, and stars are not actually covered. Similarly, Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord by his eternal potency. He is not manifest to the less intelligent class of men. As it is stated in the third verse of this chapter, out of millions and millions of men, some try to become perfect in this human form of life. And out of thousands and thousands of such perfected men, hardly one can understand what Lord Krishna is. Even if one is perfected by realization of impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma, he cannot possibly understand the Supreme Personality of God as Sri Krishna without being in Krishna consciousness. So that 26. And now Krishna will speak about the pious in 28, but in 26 verse, he will give us a clear picture of all living in all conditioned souls, what's their situation. Itvatvesham uten atvantamana bharata sarvatani samam sarke yanti prantapa. So, Hussaina Bharata, conqueror of the four, all the entities are born into delusion, bewildered by duality, arisen from desire and hate. So that's the problem with the conditioned souls. And we want to enjoy joy, and we hate pain or distress. But that is all for the body. And that's bodily consciousness. And we are bewildered by that. And that makes us absorbed in the body. Desire and hate. So it's a short purport. Can someone read this purport?
The real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination to the Supreme Lord, who is pure knowledge. When one is deluded into separation from the pure knowledge, he becomes controlled by the illusory energy and cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The illusory energy is manifested in the duality of desire and hate. Due to desire and hate, the ignorant person wants to become one with the Supreme Lord and envies Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pure devotees who are not deluded or contaminated by desire and hate can understand that Lord Sri Krishna appears by his internal potencies. But those who are deluded by duality and the science think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is created by material energy. This is their misfortune. Such deluded persons systematically dwell in dualities of dishonor and honor, misery and happiness, woman and man, good and bad, pleasure and pain, etc. Thinking, this is my wife, this is my house, I'm the master of the house, I'm the husband of his wife. These are the dualities of duty. Those who are deluded by dualities are completely foolish and therefore cannot understand the Supreme Personality of God.
So, one who does not have the knowledge of one's relationship with Krishna and is not seeing the world through that relationship, one becomes controlled by the illusory energy Maya. And one thinks that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is created by this material energy. Krishna is also like us. That so a living entity who is influenced by selfish desires, who envies Krishna, he wants to establish his position as enjoyer. That thus he becomes bewildered by dualities of attraction, repulsion, desire, and hate. He becomes moved from one side to another. Happiness, distress, that depression, or so-called happy for some time, that but always distress, mostly distress. That you see, people who run a big business, complete absorbed in these selfish activities the whole day, and you cannot get them out. But good. 28. Jezant van Gatam Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam Detant Kamo Nimuktab Jantimam Dita. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are free from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. At the end, the last line of the purpose. Unless one is reinstated in his own constitutional position, it is not possible to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead or to fully engage in his transcendental service with determination. So yeah, unless one gives up simple life and becomes pious, that then one can, with determination, engage himself in devotional service. Because otherwise, one's mind is too bewildered. If one is absorbed in this duality, the mind is always disturbed. You cannot think of Krishna. Unless the mind is peaceful, you can think of Krishna. And the mind becomes peaceful when you become pious and give up simple actions and worship the Supreme Lord. And then you get determination. That's the danger of neophyte devotees. Neophyte devotees, if they are still heavily contaminated within, that they don't have the determination for devotional service. And but if they are in association of devotees, by the association they are uplifted. But especially in the beginning, they have to stay in the association of devotees. Because otherwise, Maya will break them, because they are into that delusion and hate that, so many material desires come up in their mind. And that unless you have a strong sadhana, no way to overcome this. That so this is an important point here, that not everyone can perform devotional service with determination. But if you are in association of devotees, it's different. Bhakti Maharaj used to say, if you have one stick, easy to break. If you are alone, Maya will get you. But if you are many sticks together, difficult to break. So if we are remaining in the association with devotees, even if our heart is impure, that we are protected by the devotee association. And that's elevation to devotional service is possible by the association of pure devotees who can deliver you from delusion. So that's the message here. That it's the moment. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Devotional service. We were with, this was 28, so now 29. 29. Here. Okay, here. 29. Charamarna moksha mamasyachayatam te brahmatam vidu Krishna matyatman karma sankhyan. Intelligent persons who are endeavor for liberation from old age and death take refuge in my devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. The intelligent persons who take refuge in devotional service. So only the devotees are intelligent, Krishna says, really intelligent. So we should always be very respectful to devotees. They are not ordinary. They have the brain to understand the situation. That and that you get only after many births, usually. Usually it takes many births. There's a verse in the third canto, chapter 33, that one who comes to devotional service has gone to all ritualistic sacrifices, has done everything. That yes, because their intelligence, they try to give up this material desires. So I read just a few sentences of the purpose. This is the third sentence. One who attains spiritual body becomes one of the associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engages in devotional service is really liberated. Further, the pure devotees are transcendentally situated on the Brahman platform, and they know everything about transcendental activities. Nearly at the end of the second last paragraph, only persons who perform activities in Krishna consciousness are actually entitled to be called Brahman, because they are actually endeavoring to reach the Krishna planet. Such persons have no misgivings about Krishna. They are factually Brahman. So, genuine Brahman realization means acting in the service of Brahman, that by devotional service. And they attain a spiritual body, Krishna says. And then they become an eternal associate of the Lord, and they are eternally liberated. That, yes. And now the last verse. Sadi Buddhati Devam Sadi Jakyam Se Vidu Payanakale Pishamam Te Vidu Yukta Shetasam. Those in full conscious of me, who know me to be the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods, and of all methods of sacrifices, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. So Krishna says, even at the time of death. So in the next chapter, Krishna will speak about the time of death and the importance of that. So can someone read the second paragraph from the purport? Start with the 7th chapter and ending with causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord. The second chapter. The 7th chapter.
This 7th chapter particularly explains how one can become a full Krishna conscious person. The beginning of Krishna consciousness is association of persons who are Krishna conscious. Such association is spiritual and puts one directly in touch with the Supreme Lord. And by His grace, one can understand Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, one can really understand the constitutional position of the living entity and how the living entity forgets Krishna and becomes entangled with activity. By gradual development of Krishna consciousness in good association, the living entity can understand that due to forgetfulness of Krishna, he has become conditioned by the laws of material nature. He can also understand that this human form of life is an opportunity to regain Krishna consciousness and that it should be fully utilized to attain the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord.
Thank you. That until at the end here of the purport. One who is actually elevated in Krishna consciousness does not care for the different processes. He simply engages himself in activities of Krishna consciousness and thereby practically attains his constitutional position as an eternal servant of the Lord. At the end, he's convinced that by doing so, all his objectives will be fulfilled. This determined fate is called Treta Prantana. So, my question to you is, how, after hearing that, what is your definition of determination? What is determination in Krishna consciousness? What is determination in Krishna consciousness? How would you define determination? Yes, it helps us to go on with devotional service. Right, that's true, but what is it?
Firm determination is acquired by sadhu when you become completely.
Yeah, it's acquired by sadhu sangha, by association with pure devotees. That determination, Srila Prabhupada writes, is being convinced by engaging in devotional service, all my objectives will be fulfilled. So how do you get convinced that what's the method?
Is it not Mother, like that we different Bhakti and Paripurna? It is not by surrendering to Guru with the pure devotion, then you invite determination into your like a type of.
And the spiritual master will instruct you, give you the same instructions as Bhagavad Gita. What was the first instruction of this chapter? From Krishna to Arjuna. Maya sakta manapata yoga gunam matashvita samsyam samarkam yatashknashi tachvi. By hear now, Arjuna, by hearing about me, that then you will be able to come to know me in full, and all your doubts will be gone. So that will help us to get this determination. But Krishna says determination will come when you are free from the duality of desire and hate. That determination comes when you are pious. The Srila Prabhupada explained the real pious activities is devotional service, engaged in Krishna's service. And by that, clearly we become free from the duality of that makes us identify with the body. That as long as this duality is there, we are in a dangerous position. This duality is there when our heart is not purified. We must purify our heart. Once our heart is purified, then we are out the biggest dangerous zone. Then we are safe, but not completely safe. That's the position of liberation. There's still danger. We learned that from Bharat Maharaj, who attained Bhava, nearly love of God, but still got in difficulty. We have always to be careful in this material world. Good.
Pious activity. That's the main side.
Yeah.
Pious activity in Krishna consciousness is high. But Krishna consciousness activity is considered as a purely guide towards me. But I thought pious activity is up to the level up to heavenly planet.
Yeah.
But the Krishna consciousness.
Srila Prabhupada mentions here, the pious activity mentioned here is devotional service. That's what Srila Prabhupada mentioned also in lectures. But pious in the sense that we have pious people who strive for karma kanda. But that's just one category of pious people. We have also pious people who follow the scripture and do not have the desire to go to heavenly planets. That they work out of duty, and that is the varnashram, and that's more safe. That they are also pious because they come to goodness. And from goodness, they can come to the transcendental platform. But those who want to go to the heavenly planets, they don't come to goodness. Because they come to goodness, but mixed with passion and ignorance, because they are sakam, and they don't have the determination to come to pure devotional service. Otherwise, all the demigods would come to pure devotional service, but they don't want. They are sakam. And that's a problem. That's why we don't want to go to the heavenly planets. this is just poison for the devotee, because he's going to forget Krishna, because there's too much opportunity for self-gratification. And that's what they do there, they forget Krishna in the heavenly planets. Although they are serving Vishnu, but in their sacrifices, but they are concerned with themselves. It's more subtle than the gross passion on this earth, the still passion.
So, another one is, I heard that Yudhishthira Maharaj, he went to the Hades planet for some time, and I heard that he came also for no problem because he had the service for the Lord in order to preach there, right? So we see the business of pious activity, pious in sense like a pure pious, pious you can say, right? In the devotional life, pure pious activity,
Yeah,
not mix.
yeah, the pure devotional service is the purest life. Good.
Discussion about these pious activities, and we came to understand that there are two types of pious activities. One is not Bhakti Unmukhi, just like or the Purvatam Sakata Krishna only Shravan
Yeah.
that Punya pious activity. He is not taking you to heaven, he is taking you further in Bhakti. So the Bhakti Unmukhi, those who are doing pious activity in a mode of goodness, they progress towards Lord Krishna. But those in passion and ignorance, then they will go to heavenly planets. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is what I tried to explain.
Thank
you. Good. Thank you very much. And still one question, one last question. Okay.
Hi, Krishna. In paragraph 3 of verse 29, he says that this Brahman conception of life is also devotional service. Can you explain that?
29.
Yeah.
Oh. Intelligent persons were endeavored for liberation from old age and death take refuge in mean devotional search. They are actually Brahman, they are entirely knowing everything about transcendental activities. Where is it in the purport?
Just before that, towards the end of the first paragraph.
The pure devotees are transcendentally situated on the Brahman platform, and they know everything about transcendental activities. Is that? The Brahman conception of life is also devotional service, also in devotional service as described in this verse. Yes. Devotees, the pure devotees are on the Brahman platform. Brahma, Buddha, Prasana, Atmana, Susita, Nankamisati. The Brahma Buddha platform starts when there's no lament or anger, there's no material desires anymore, and one becomes peaceful. So devotees, pure devotees, have no material desires, they are peaceful, they are on the Brahman platform. But Brahman is only a stage. In that Brahman platform, you can start serving Krishna directly on the spiritual platform. And Krishna is called Parabrahman, the Supreme Brahman. So when one is situated in Brahman, one can serve out of love the Parabrahman Krishna. And that is what is explained. That simple. That when one is situated on the Brahman platform, they know everything of the Brahman activities. Brahman activities I explained in 1426. Mansio Vyabhicharana Bhakti Sevatam Sarvatam Samatichitam Brahmavi Kalpati. If you perform pure devotion service, at once one is situated on the Brahman platform. And that's the spiritual platform. And from there, after liberation, you can search directly on the spiritual platform. Because Krishna is pure, is transcendental. If the living entity comes to his transcendental state, is also pure, then he can worship Krishna. To worship a king, you must be part of the entourage of the king, and then you can worship him all about. It is the same way. One must first come to Brahman. But for us, in our movement here, we are also trying to serve Krishna. We cannot serve Krishna directly, but we serve Krishna as an assistant of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is on the command platform. Yeah.
Thank you for answering this question very helpful. I'm also curious because the personalized relationship of the level of someone already.
That's this is answered by Lord Brahma, to Lord Krishna in the Brahma Moadida last time in the 10th canto, chapter 14, in Yer Pundakshu Vimatmana Pratapaya Abhisudabaya Paya Aruyan Krishna Padam 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 Shataratin Nitya. Anyway, Krishna says that in Yer Pundakshu Vimatmanas, this impersonalist, they vimukta means liberation, maninas, mind. They think them liberated in the mind. They think they are liberated. Aruyak and then Vastabaya Abhisuddha Buddhaya. But there the intelligence is Abhisuddha Buddhaya is contaminated. What is their contamination? They want to come Brahman, they want to come God. And therefore they are not allowed to come under Brahman. And then therefore they stay, they may come to the Brahmajyoti, but they don't merge. They are like a green parrot in a green foliage of a tree. You don't see it, but they are still there. So they are there if they attain that position, mostly they don't attain. They are still there for 10,000 years or something, and it feels good. Peace, finally, get liberation of all this suffering, these births and so on. But then, and they feel somewhat peaceful. But then after some time, there's nothing to do. And it's boring. And then they have to come back to the material element because they want to do activities. They are individuals and they have no knowledge of Krishna and his activities. And they are they miss the knowledge of who they are. They are only have realized I'm not his body. They don't know who they are. That and like I said a few days ago, it's like someone coming out of the hospital is cured, and the person remains hanging around in the hospital. But no, the person has to go home and take up again his normal activities. Our normal activities is serving Krishna. Is serving, but they can't serve Krishna because they don't have knowledge of Krishna. They think themselves Krishna. So they have to come back to the material world. And they start to engage in so-called pious activities. But although they do pious activities, they don't have the determination for devotional service because they don't accept Krishna and their relationship with him. They don't understand who they are. And because they don't understand who they are, they cannot attain self-realization. Therefore, their Buddha, their intelligence is impure. Okay. Thank you very much. We continue at 4 p.m. Hare Krishna.